Yes, we remember very well the first service that we had in the Mayflower restaurant here in Mooresville, and I think there were 7 people.
We all were Episcopalians, but from all different parts of the world almost. We all just wanted to help so much because we didn't have anything, and we were so afraid somebody would leave. And, oh God, we got 9. Oh dear, that was not the case. We got more people. I remember somebody told me, I can't remember who it was, said, somebody told me you had church in a truck. I said, no, I said, we about do, but it was just like pioneers, like pioneer spirit, you know. We can do it, we can do it.
Right in the door, Carol Miller and her mother and aunt welcomed us, and that's the first welcome we'd had in any church that we'd been in. It was small, but the people were quite warm.
Our first sacristy was about a 4 by 16 foot closet.
This previous summer, Jan had told us that she and several other people were forming and working towards the formation of an Episcopal Church. Was meeting at the Mayflower seafood restaurant. So we decided, hey, next Sunday, let's go. And we just thoroughly enjoyed the Christian fellowship and the Christian love that these people handed out to us.
Jane Jennings, who was in charge of Sunday school for the kids. But for week after week after week, there weren't any kids. She was always prepared. She had a little banquet set up in the restaurant part of, or
in the bar
dining
area,
or the bar. That's right. The bar area of the restaurant is where she would have. She was ready for Sunday school, and
Ben was born, and he was the first child baptized here at St. Patrick's.
But aside from being pregnant, my favorite memory about the first day that we attended St. Patrick's at the Mayflower restaurant was we weren't sure when communion time came if we were supposed to go up and receive communion or not. And so when it came time for our row to go up to communion, we just stayed seated. And Jan got up and walked back to our row and said to us, all baptized Christians are welcome at the table. And so that was really, powerful for us and meaningful that they wanted to make sure we were included.
I was struck by how many different people took the time to greet us, each of us, and then this very welcoming homemade loaf of bread that we were given as we left. I think somebody actually recruited me for the choir the first weekend that we were there.
a lot of people recognize right now that hospitality and welcoming is a very, very big part of the culture or DNA of our congregation. And I really firmly believe that the roots of that DNA were sown in those very early days when we only had one row of chairs, and one Sunday we had to actually add a second row.
I remember one time we were at the Mount Warren School prior to coming here, and the school had a problem with the roof leaking. We were in the gymnasium. We had to place chairs, 2 here, 2 there, to avoid the puddles and the raindrops coming in.
And we had buckets too.
Yeah,
buckets collecting
water.
Right. I forgot about that.
Someone had turned the chalice cup, had set the chalice cup on the altar upside down. The visiting priest didn't notice that it was upside down. And he filled the little small cup that the chalice normally sits on with wine. And this is what was used during the Eucharist. At the very end, after Eucharist was over, and he tried to consume the rest of the wine that was in the cup, he had red wine running down both sides of his chin.
Yeah, I often call us the Church of the Flexibility because you never know what you're going to be dealing with, and that gets us to when on the 4th of July when we went and the YMCA was locked and we had to unload the trailer on the sidewalk.
Yeah, we were under shelter.
We were. And then the time with the chalice. How flexible is that, to be drinking out of the wrong end of the chalice? And we deal with all those things.
I remember the day that, like, the new dollies were delivered to put the chairs on. And, you know, a handful of us were there taking them out of the boxes and putting them together. And we stacked the chairs on and we rolled them up into the, had the big board we used for a ramp of the trailer. And we're like, oh, this is so cool. I mean, it made life so much easier than, like, literally picking up chairs and carrying them out for a while.
And a good learning experience, because it just was so evident that we are the church. The building is not the church, but we're the church. We did need chairs, though. I mean, we like to see.
Yeah, you needed.
Brian came up with this idea of going house to house to evangelize, to make sure that people knew we were here. The woman was obviously not happy and just, kind of leave us alone and just slam the door. About 2 or 3 minutes later, a police car comes. She called the police on us.
They've since put no soliciting signs in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I served on the building committee for this building. And I remember the first time that they showed up at our building committee meeting with a 3-dimensional replica, and my first thought. And I said it. That looks like a barn. It reminds me of the barns that we had on the farm. But now it's my barn.
Perhaps the most moving part of the whole St. Patrick's saga for me, that we could go into a restaurant smelling of burnt grease and seafood, and in the space of 15 to 30 minutes, it's transformed from the locker room to holy ground.
Gradually, I came to appreciate the power of prayer and the fact that worldwide within the Anglican community, there were thousands, if not millions of people every day or every Sunday praying the same words. And if you really do believe in the power of prayer, like our prayer chain, that to me was really impactful.
I think overall, my own spirituality when I came to St. Patrick in the early days was really in a state of growth at that time. And it really fast-forwarded at St. Patrick, I think, because I saw quickly that it would take all of us getting involved to make this church, this gathering, go someplace. And so I got involved, and amazing the growth that you undergo when you're leading other people in prayer, and the sense of community that you feel. That's where the strength of St. Patrick lies, is in that intertwining of our personal lives.
Well, I never thought we'd have a building. I mean, when we started out with little trailers, I just never thought we would never ever do it. I didn't ever think we'd have a church that pretty, I think.
The 4 windows with the Celtic crosses on the inside have been added. The beautiful carved wooden cross has been added. We had a brand new votive cabinet. The way that you had this really beautiful place, but the landscaping and the interiors have been so lovingly cared for that people are aware of this legacy that they're passing on to the generations after them.
Someone came up to me after church and she said, "Is your son that designed the labyrinth, is he here today?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, I'd like to meet him." And so I brought her over to meet Ben. And I said, she just wants to talk to you about the labyrinth. And she looked at Ben and she said, "Your labyrinth saved my life." And she said, "I have been going through such a hard time, and I just come and walk the labyrinth, and I really feel like it saved my life."
Brian was really the first priest that I can remember who concentrated on, we have to read the Bible, read the stories, learn the stories. And that took me, further into my journey for fellowship, beyond fellowship, I should say. And then Mark had a huge impression on me with his spirituality, and I got into meditation. And the groups we have, that has brought me even further. So, I think the whole church has grown, but for myself, I can say I definitely have.
Nobody would know my name if I didn't come back, one thing. But I really think sometimes that I am here to connect people. The names are important. And on my prayer book, and I don't know how I thought about doing that, but I've got every name of every person that's ever walked in here. And I feel like I had a baby, and these are my children. And I just love them.
First of all, it's a mutual love of God. All of us wouldn't be here if we didn't love God. It's friends helping friends, and that's been probably the most wonderful part of St. Patrick's Day.
I still have a passion for young people learning about God. Those 10 years were an amazing gift to me, to just see the light of Christ grow in all of those young people. It's just such a holy work of the church to educate and bring up our young people in the knowledge of the love of God.
We've been very, very fortunate to have had, the community of St. Patrick's to raise our family in.
We keep coming back to St. Patrick's because of the people, the Christian love, the fellowship that we've enjoyed all this time. And we just really love it.
As baptized Christians, we are all ministers in God's church, and EFM is just a phenomenal means of being able to establish and build a foundation that allows you to be a minister for God, whether you have a particular passion or whether or not it's just ministering to the people that you encounter on the way. And it's a great way of being able to see God in a secular world.
One of the things that has kept us excited and involved at St. Patrick's is our life group. Our group, Seekers, has been meeting now for about 20 years. We're always studying something that we can discuss together, and I think that's the biggest thing. And we study about God, and we're able to openly talk about God, which isn't something that you get with a lot of your other friends.
As people identify their passions, then they become their best selves, and they really live out all the gifts that God has given them. And I have seen that the Spirit is already moving in this place. I see this church reach out in mission, and I think we can do even more. So as the future comes towards us and we step into God's future, I think it will be even more mission-minded than it already is.
And so this is really home for us, and we just feel so passionate about the parish, and it just gets stronger with every year that we're here, that we're doing it for our family.
And I think I want to keep coming back, and I want to keep doing things for St. Patrick, because I think I can make a difference both for St. Patrick and in people's lives. I just want to help create an inviting place for people to come and get to know God.
I think we've been through so many ups and downs, which has brought us together, but we're still learning and praying and growing and loving all those things together, and that's what brings me back.
I think with me there's a certain sense of paying back to the community. When I was in the hospital 5+ years ago with a kidney transplant, at 5:30 in the morning, Mark showed up at the waiting room, and that really meant a lot to me, and I told him so. And then I found out that there were people praying for me every day. So I feel a sense of commitment to that way. So.
It is a special place, and I just hope we go on forever.